Welcome to Friendsgiving Part 3. We're still on day 1. I'm having a great time, and this episode is vegetables and more. So we have been doing the Friendsgiving series. This video is going to be covering potatoes, which I think count as a vegetable, as well as squash and what to do if you want like a really nice squash centerpiece. So we're calling it vegetables and more. All these recipes that I'm doing for the Thanksgiving season, the holidays, are kind of recipes that you can take and translate to any time of year, but still feel very specifically festive. So we're doing roasted crispy potatoes with brown butter, sage, walnuts, and walnut cream. Don't balk at the walnut cream. It is delicious. And then for the squash meal, it's going to be roasted squash with black quinoa, a ton of vegetables, brown butter, twice, and rosemary and pumpkin seeds toasted down, and then a cranberry sauce dressing. But we're going to start with the potatoes, vegetables and such. Let us begin. 3 pounds of potatoes peeled, and I'm not doing this for my health or my free time. In fact, it hurts both. But what I'm doing this for is there's a lot of debate on how to get the fluffiest interior of a potato along with the crispiest exterior. I think what matters is what you do before you boil them and what you do after. Let's fast forward. Okay. Peeled potatoes, those are gonna go right into the water. Well, they will in 5 minutes. This is boring. Salted water, we're gonna boil it till it's fork tender. Use whatever hacks you want, but that's my method. It's been 15 minutes. It's steamy up in here. So let's just drain this. I'm gonna be careful. And like I said, the most important thing about the potatoes is what we do after. And they're gonna end up here, but before they end up there, we need to rough them up. And this is my least favorite activity. Oh, one might say she went too far. They've got a lot of personality to them. So you see how we have all this steam releasing from the potatoes? What you want is you want them on a flat layer of a sheet pan. And if you have all the time in the world, you can let them come to room temperature, stop steaming. I really like to put them in the freezer. And also you can do it overnight and then roast them the next morning. And it makes a really nice, crispy, crackly edge. So the only thing we are doing for the vegetables and more section today is boiling our potatoes, roughing them up. These got a little too rough. I admit when I'm wrong. So to the freezer so that this can dry out and stop steaming. How quickly day 2 came, because yesterday we really just boiled potatoes. But welcome, we're still on vegetables and things. But for day 2, I thought we'd fast forward to the acorn squash tricolor quinoa salad with cranberry sauce dressing. But it's really just the process of making a grain, roasting a lot of vegetables, doing 2 delicious dressings. So we can do this all at once in under an hour. So if you're coming home from work and you're like, I need to do something to bring to some party, this is it. And this can be any grain you like. I love doing quinoa. We're doing tricolor quinoa, but you can do black rice, farro, really whatever. And we're gonna cook that according to package instructions. So while we're waiting for our water to boil, let's talk about my favorite subject this holiday season, squash. So I like using acorn squash and delicata squash. That's exactly what these 2 are. You can really use any squash variety. I highly recommend a squash variety you don't have to peel the skin off of. I play it fast and loose. I really don't peel the skin off of a lot of my squash because if you roast them for long enough, the skin will be pliable and edible enough. Except for butternut squash, I've never found my way around it. You have to peel butternut squash and it is a nightmare and a half. But acorn squash and delicata, you don't have to peel. These are also, in terms of sweet versus mild, these are a more mild squash. It'll be a little bit crowded, but try to get all the pieces touching the pan if you can, because that's what gets you that beautiful squash color. Next up, a fennel. If you hate fennel, I know you're out there, just do a red onion here. Neither of these pans you want to be crowded, so I put some of the squash on the fennel pan. Play it by ear. You want as much contact with the pan as possible. And then a little bit of olive oil on both. A little bit of salt. You know the drill. First, let's pop these in the oven. I'll need to double check time and temperature. See those in 25 minutes. It looks like our quinoa is done. I said this was streamlined, so let's do a little strain. You can stay over there because the kitchen's really dirty. Okay, so the quinoa will just hang out for a minute, but the next thing that we're doing is what I actually created as a topper, but it's okay to start it early. We're gonna be frying rosemary in brown butter and then adding in pepitas to also absorb the brown butter. And it's like a little bit of a flavor enhancer and like a drizzle on top. We're just doing it early because our vegetables are in the oven. What else are we gonna be doing? So it's 1/4 cup butter, 1/3 cup pepitas, and then rosemary, and bring that all up to temperature. That took 2 seconds, and now the pumpkin seeds are all golden brown roasted. The rosemary occasionally curls up, and then sometimes it'll stay just darkened in color and very crisp like this. But the real visual that you're looking for is that the butter is nice and browned and that the pumpkin seeds are a nice golden. I'm not using salted butter, so I'm gonna add a little bit. If you're using salted butter, you don't need to add anything. And now, everybody's favorite time. Drum roll, please. It's big bowl time. This is, again, I made it very clear, this is a I want to bring a side dish, I have 1 hour to do it kind of recipe, which also means it's transportable. So in the big bowl, we're going to be building it the same way you would build a mason jar salad, essentially. We're doing our cranberry sauce dressing at the bottom, then the quinoa, then the roasted vegetables, then the green vegetables, there are more vegetables, then this rosemary brown butter situation, and then when you're ready to mix, it all comes together. We made this in the cranberry episode. I will link that here, but it took 10 minutes. It's cranberry sauce. You can do jarred or canned or whatever. And then the last two components, honey and red wine vinegar, because cranberry sauce on its own is already a little bit tart and a little bit sweet. So it does the two things that vinegar and honey do, which is adding acidity and sweetness, but it also is festive. So that's its real job. So 1/4 cup of cranberry sauce, and then 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of honey, and then 1/2 cup of olive oil. And then, of course, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. We're gonna whisk it until it's thick. Our vegetables are out of the oven. From the top, it doesn't look like they have a lot of color, but flip them over, and we'll have some beautiful browning. Again, with our system, we're gonna go in with the quinoa. And the squash will just go right in with everything else, along with the fennel and the more squash. Our brown butter seeds. And for my next trick, have you ever seen anybody peel a pomegranate in a white shirt before? Welcome to school. We haven't done this ever. And let me tell you, I'm scared. This shirt had it since 2017. Who knows if I'll have it till 2026. So a pomegranate has slices. Onions have layers, ogres have layers, pomegranates have slices. Come on. So to show these slices, you have to very carefully slice along the top. This can be with a paring knife or a big knife, depending on how confident you feel. And then delicately peel past that. Oh yeah, there we go. So this actually didn't do us the biggest favor of showing off the slices. You can see a little bit of the ridges here. The top shows the slices better. So see that line, that line, that line, that line. Those are the guiding directives to how this pomegranate should be opened. I found one of the lines, and that means I'm gonna slice it down like this. And one I know for sure is right here. And since I'm playing a nice little guessing game and I don't want to ruin this shirt, I'm going to pretend one is here. Many people will tell you to do this into a bowl of water. Great option. I've just found it creates more mess than necessary, so I just do it on a cutting board. And since, again, this is the white shirt tutorial, we're going to face the pomegranate away from us and ease the slices apart. The cut you'll want to be just about like 1/2 centimeter deep, very, very small, because you want your hands to be the part that eases the pomegranate apart. And how simple was that? That's half a pomegranate. The other half is going to be my treat. Shirt, still white. Watch there be a stain there. White according to camera. And these will go in. Now it's starting to feel like Thanksgiving. The leafy greens are gonna go at the top. This is spinach I got from the market and tore up and pre-washed, and it's just been hanging out for its one job, which is this salad. So around 4 to 5 cups of greens. We'll shave on some, no surprises here, Parmesan. If I was bringing this to a party, I would wrap this, like saran wrap it on top, bring a serving platter with me and some utensils for serving. When I get there, mix, plate it. It's gonna plate beautifully. It's perfect for like I just wanna roast a few things, do a few things in a pan and come out with like this textured, amazing, healthy side dish. Like it's really got a lot going on for it. But for us, because our party's happening later in the day, we're gonna put this to the side and finish the rest of the vegetables and things, which is now potatoes. Our frozen potatoes from yesterday, they're looking as frozen as ever, but you do want to bring them out a little bit while we prep the rest of the potato situation. It's because we're going to be putting brown butter on them. And if you like drizzle brown butter on ice cold potatoes, it just immediately seizes up. So the freezer's done its job, which is to get all of the moisture out. And now our potatoes can hang out with us as we make the fried sage, the sage brown butter, and the walnut cream, which I wish I could give it a better name. Let's call it walnut spread. I'm boiling a cup of water right now and adding 2 cups of walnuts to this blender. So this may not completely submerge the walnuts, but that is no worries. What we're doing is just softening them, but then using this water to blend them instead of draining them and adding more water. So loosely putting the top on there to let everything hang out. The important stuff is we're going to be using a full half cup of butter and frying sage in batches. We have 3/4 cup of sage here ready to go, and I'm going to use 1/4 cup of the butter first, but let's do that on the pan. You want the heat really low, and the only visual indicator that you will have is that the sage is darkened in color. If it's brown on the edges, you've gone a little bit too far. But as this is happening, we're infusing the butter with sage flavor, and we're also crisping up the sage, so it's dual purpose. And just by nature of how long the sage needs, because this is medium-low heat, the butter is gonna start to brown no matter what. So that's why we start with 1/4 cup of the butter, is because this butter is gonna get very, very brown. And then we add the other 1/4 cup, and that like gets golden. Our sage is out. I've lined them up like good little soldiers to dry on a paper towel, and then the walnuts go in. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and you've seen the butter's gotten pretty dark. It's been on low heat this entire time. That's just the nature of frying a lot of sage and getting our walnuts all toasty and delicious. I'm gonna put them to the side, not taking the butter with them, but kind of scooping them out because they're gonna be topping after everything is done. But we still want some butter in here because that's the butter that's gonna go on our potatoes. And then still keeping everything on the lowest heat, we're gonna add our last 1/4 cup of butter. And this is just to bring this like burnt butter situation back to a well-rounded brownish butter situation. So our potatoes have had a bit of time to not really come to room temperature, but they're no longer like ice cold. So using clean hands, let's break up these clumps. And then our butter is gonna go as evenly as we can put it on top. And then mix quickly to try to spread the love before it freezes. Now, like with most things, soups, stews, etc., butter is for flavor, olive oil also for flavor, but for fat. So we're gonna add a little reassurance of olive oil, and that's to make sure every potato is nicely coated. The last thing is, of course, some salt. And these are going to go into a very hot oven, 425 convection, bottom rack, for about 15 minutes. We'll check on them, we'll flip them, everything. Goodbye. Now you have 2 fried sage options. Choose your uglier one. And that's what we're gonna blend into the walnut spread. And then we're gonna save this for the topping. So this is the one time where I really do want you to be specific with a 1 teaspoon measurement. And then once it's blended, you can taste and adjust. But let's start with 1 teaspoon dried rosemary. I played around with a lot. I played around with sugar. I played around with like black pepper, but I found rosemary just added that like little bit of depth that we needed. 1 teaspoon of white wine vinegar, very specifically white wine vinegar. It's got a cleaner finish. Lemon juice tasted too lemony. I've made so many walnut spreads. Lemon juice really tasted like, there's lemon in here. Sherry vinegar was too nutty and too distinct. Red wine vinegar was like a little bit too sweet. So white wine vinegar, very strongly opinioned about that. And then a teaspoon of salt. And then we will blend it up until smooth. That'll take a few minutes. This will thicken as it sits, but it's already pretty thick. That is the texture that you wanted. Oh, steamy. And depending on how you fry your sage, it might be a light green color, it might be a light brown color, but what really matters is the flavor because it's just universally so good. I'm gonna do a little taste. It's perfect. If you were to do it without the vinegar, you would be having a very different experience right now, but it's delicious. So I'll put this into a bowl. Oh, it's so good. This is my kryptonite food. And you'll see where this is going. The crispy potatoes will be piled all on top. So texture-wise, it's gonna be like smooth and creamy, really crispy sage, nutty walnuts. It all comes together. Ooh, okay. Our potatoes look beautiful. This is where we admit our mistakes. So yesterday, ideally, you don't shake them until they're nearly mashed. So some of them have stuck a little bit to each other, but we're still getting all that beautiful brown crust. It's just like they're not piecey potatoes. They're just a few of the pieces have stuck together, but they're still crispy. And that's because we put a decent amount of fat. So do a few flips here. You'll see all that golden brown. This gets plated before our acorn squash salad because potatoes over squash. Come on, let's be real. This is a serving bowl that I love, and we have a decent amount of this walnut spread, which we were talking about it earlier. It's a dip. Like, I don't know why I was using cream spread, like these not nice words. It's a dip. So I like to do like a few big markers around the side because we're creating like a well for the potatoes to land in so that when you serve it, everybody can scoop up like the crispy potatoes and they stay crispy. And then they get like a little bit of the dip, a little bit of the spread with it. So we have our 4 landing zones. Then we're just gonna spread out on the sides. Delicious. Potatoes. Oh, they smell like a McDonald's. They do. And I'm not mad at that. For plating purposes, because a beautiful plate involves restraint, we're saving these in a different platter. Like ideally, you'll get them all on there. So the walnuts go on next. And then lastly, our sage. Now it's only right to plate up the acorn squash salad, to have vegetable and vegetable together. I'm back. Don't ask where we kept this. That's for me to know and you to not think about. And this is, we're like pretending that we just arrived at your friend's house and they saw like the big bowl of greens and they were like, wow. And you were like, just wait. Like I have a plan. I have a purpose. When it looks like nice and mixed, then you can plate it. Then you can show off. I know it tastes good, but let's see them as a pair. Cause come on, how cute. Truth be told, I have already made this and used it as meal prep for 6 days in a row. I am no stranger to this recipe. But the fact that I'm not sick of it should speak volumes because the textures, the flavors, the like levels of like food that you're getting, so you're getting like the leafy greens, the really rich squash, the quinoa that is perfectly saturated with dressing. Like everything is perfectly balanced. If you want to add chickpeas, then boom, you have lunch. But otherwise, it's just a very stunning side dish. Yeah, I love this one. So since we are saving the potatoes for an actual party where I want them to be like exactly what they're meant to be, like you scoop in and get that, we have a mini. So the mini potatoes for my reviewing and your knowledge of if I actually like the food I make. I do. Wow. Of all the recipes, this is the most beige, which means it is the one I like the most. Fried sage is just such a sleeper hit of an ingredient. Like it's so fall, it's so cozy. And then the walnut cream, which has like that little bit of white vinegar to like bring it up a notch. And then the potatoes. Today, very hash brown adjacent. When you make them, who knows? Choose your own potato adventure, but they are the perfect like starchy, balanced counterpart to all this like heavy beige but crispy sage. I'm now rhyming. That's how long I've been wanting to taste this. Okay, vegetables and things. Good job. Every single Friendsgiving episode has been getting better and better. So we have a whole archive on my channel. I'm going to continue to eat these and then we'll plate up everything because 'tis the season and I have people to feed. See you for the next one.